I'm William Shakespeare, born in 1564 and a famous playwright, poet, and actor of the English Renaissance. My most significant plays are comedies and tragedies, and I bet you already know some of them, such as A Midsummer Night's Dream, Romeo and Juliet, and Hamlet, which you will learn about soon. Besides, I'm also known as England's national poet, which highlights how important I am for English literature.
Anyway, the people used to call the time I'm living in the Golden Age, which means the Elizabethan Age, named after Queen Elizabeth I, who ruled our beautiful country between 1558 and 1603. In fact, people really love our queen, who is the successor of Queen Mary I and a fan of modernization, so she fits to the spirit of times. This reminds me, by the way, of another thing I absolutely need to explain to you. The Elizabethan worldview assumes that everything is connected in the great chain of being. It has a hierarchical structure where beings are assigned in six classes: heaven, the microcosm, the sensitive class, the vegetable class, the inanimate class, and hell. God is on the top. He is the ruler of the including whole world. The angels serve him and therefore are the only beings who have the right to live in heaven apart from God. What follows are we, the human beings. Like every class except from the inanimate class, we all have existence and life. Furthermore, we have feeling and understanding. We are the microcosm. Under us, there are the higher animals who have feeling, touch, memory, movement, and hearing. They form the sensitive class. Then there are the animals like ants, being distinguished for having touch, memory, and movement. They also belong to the sensitive class. The last beings belonging to this class are animals like shellfish. They only have touch. The following class is the vegetable class. The plants, they have existence and life, but no feeling or anything else. Under them are the elements, liquids and metals, forming the inanimate class. They only have a mere existence. Finally, there's nothing left but hell. I am now going to explain to you Elizabethan poetry. Let's have a look at an example. Sonnet 130 is one of my most famous poems. In my sonnet, I compare the beauty of the speaker's beloved to nature's beauty, but find that nature exceeds his beloved beauty. With its three quatrains and the couplet at the end, it has a typical form of an English sonnet. However, the English sonnet mostly follows the iambic pentameter rhythm pattern. An iamb is a name given to a foot or a group of syllables in which an unstressed syllable is followed by a stressed one. Pentameter means that each line of the poem contains 5 of these iambs. Not only the meter, but also the rhyme scheme is typical for Shakespearean sonnets. The typical English or Shakespearean sonnet allows 7 rhymes as it falls into the 3 quatrains and the heroic couplet. An alternate rhyme is used in the first 3 stanzas and a pair rhyme in the couplet. Furthermore, a turn occurs after the 3rd quatrain. The couplet is therefore a conclusion or a summary of the poem. Let's talk about the language used by Shakespeare. Sometimes it is not easy to understand parts of a play. There are some easy rules that will help you to understand Shakespeare's plays more easily. Rule number 1. The punctuation will tell you when a sentence is finished, so don't stop reading if there is a hard return followed by a capital letter in the next line. Shakespeare makes use of a lot of enjambments in order to stay in his meter. Rule number 2. Sometimes the order of words seems to be strange. If they do not make sense to you, just switch them around until it sounds like an everyday English sentence. Rule number 3. Sometimes there are extra letters at the end of verbs, or some verbs are written in a funny way. Just take off the T or ST and you will see what they mean. Rule number 4. While some verbs have more letters, other words are missing letters. This is often done to stay in the iambic pentameter. Rule number 5. Thou, thee and thy are used for you and your. Okay, there's one more thing to know about language used in Shakespeare's play. The plays are mainly written in an iambic pentameter, which is called a blank verse. For example, to be or not to be, that is the question. Sometimes there is also rhyming between verses, which is called rhyme. Rhyme usually occurs as rhyme couplets, AABB. In combination to an iambic pentameter, it is called a heroic couplet. The third style of language that is used in Shakespeare's plays is called prose. It is just common English without a rhyme or a meter, and it is used for low comedy like dirty jokes, madness, showing formal documents, emphasizing the low social status of a character, or suggesting a realistic tone.
Drama and theatre. To lean over, the imagination of Elizabethan theatre totally depended on language, because there have been no lighting or special effects. You have to imagine that the theatre in this time have been venues of mass entertainment. The public playhouses were situated outside the city and were attended by people of all social ranks. Elizabethan drama mainly focused and criticizes secular issues, because religious themes become obsolete. One differ four different types of plays in the Elizabethan era: history, romance, comedy, and tragedy. Hamlet. Hamlet is one of the great examples for a typical tragedy. The themes of the plot cover revenge, ambition, loyalty, and fate. Prince Hamlet mourns about his father's death and his mother's, Queen Gertrude's, remarriage to Claudius. The ghost of Hamlet's father appears and tells Hamlet that his uncle Claudius poisoned him. Hamlet swears revenge, but instead of killing Claudius, he kills Polonius, who hides behind a curtain while Hamlet argues with his mother. Polonius' son, Laertes, returns to Denmark to avenge his father's death. Polonius' daughter Ophelia loves the prince, but his behavior drives her to madness. Ophelia dies by drowning. Claudius plans to use Laertes' desire for revenge to kill Hamlet. Laertes shall fence with Hamlet, but Claudius wants to poison Laertes' blade, so if he draws blood, Hamlet will die. The duel takes place, but ends with the death of Gertrude, Laertes, Claudius, and Hamlet. Relevance. Shakespeare's relevance to a young audience is a well-discussed topic in today's society. The most important arguments for and against the relevance are the following. His topics are timeless, for example love and revenge. His authentic characters and understandable modern adaptations in all literary genres, and also his imaginative language. On the other side, students who become workers or mechanics don't need to know anything about Shakespeare. Furthermore, it's not easy to understand the old language for students, and Shakespeare's plays are not about current problems in our time.